So now in writing, let's look at one thing that I think is unbelievably powerful in a school in terms of transforming the level of writing that's happening in the building. And that is this notion of on-demand writing. So what on-demand writing means is, for each unit of study that teachers are going to teach, and at the beginning of the year, kids will do it in class without teachers' hands on it and without parents' hands on it. They'll write their best effort at each of these types of writing in class. And that gives you an idea of what kids know how to do without any teacher having their hands on it. So an example of that might be, it's third grade, just now, our third grade all across all of New York City, almost all of our third graders wrote an on-demand persuasive essay. Like, use what you know to persuade someone of something you care deeply about and know a lot about. And then we can look at those third grade essays, and the thing that will happen is, that's what you want to take home before you're planning your unit and think, what will I adjust? How will I sort these into some predictable small groups? But then at the end of your unit, you do it again. And then the kids can lay them next to each other and say, let me take my second persuasive essay that I did as an on-demand in class and compare it with the one I did 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago and see where it got better. Let me put a post-it on every place in my essay where something is better. And the reason that we're really into the on-demand, aside from the published piece, is that in the end, the published piece is really about what the kids can do when they're co-authoring with us. You know, on Wednesday, I said you should be working on paragraphs, so they all work on paragraphs. You know, on Thursday, I help them with their verb tenses. On Friday, I help them with their structure of ideas and evidence. But that doesn't mean that if on Monday again I said, write an essay with the best of your ability, that all the kids can actually do all that. So sometimes a published piece gives you kind of a false idea of what kids can really do, whereas an on-demand really lets you know, this is what the kids know how to do. We do our prompts for the on-demand. We tell them, tomorrow you're going to come in and you're going to write an essay or on something that you know a lot about. We don't say that you're going to write on something you don't know about. And the reason for that is we want to make sure that the on-demand gives you an idea of what the kids do as writers when they're writing on something they know a lot about and care about. Because sometimes what happens in the upper grades is when they go to write, what's really a writing problem, it looks like a writing problem, is actually a reading problem. Like they're writing about reading, but they don't understand what they're reading. And so like, we already have state assessments where you try to sort out whether sometimes what they're being tested on is really writing or reading. So we're pretty careful with our on-demand that the kids actually know something about the topic before they actually go to write about it. So let's just sort of think about how this might go. The on-demand might be at the beginning of the unit and then at the end of the unit. But then the next high-stakes thing is that on-demand goes in a writing folder for that kid, and it goes up to the grade for next year. So 4th grade, we're about to start persuasive essay. Every 4th grader, can you get out that persuasive essay that you wrote last year, put it out on the table, and can you tell your partner 4 things you already know about persuasive essays? Right now, like get your piece out, read it to your partner, remind yourself. And now go with the teacher, because otherwise what can happen is the 4th grade teacher can end up teaching the same thing that the 3rd grade teacher did. Right? Because it's just inevitable. It happens that way. Because the kids will sort of slide back and not tell you what they really know. So for each of these types of writing, sending them up to the grade above. And this starts we did on the very first day of kindergarten, where in kindergarten it looked like pictures with some letters or words, but that's what I knew about what the kids knew about a story. Then we did an information text. Teach me about something. And like, did they even just get the difference between a story and an information text?